Happy week to you all. This is Rick Trummer from Rick Trummer Consulting and Training. And this week we're going to be going over some of the tools that are inside the Lightroom side. Last week, if you remember, we were working with the Bridge and Adobe Camera Raw, the ACR application. And now we're going to be going head to head using the tools now that are inside Lightroom to be able to do the same thing. So let's go into the Lightroom interface. One of the nice things that Lightroom has is the Navigator area. Right over here. You can actually, once you click into a zoom system, so once you click into where you want zoom wise, you can actually use your Navigator to kind of go in and be able to do that. So if we had a 1 to 2, you could kind of move this Navigator around, or 1 to 3. You could fit, you could fill, you can do a 1 to 1, which would of course bring it up real close. And we're going to go back to the 1 to 3, but you can see we can move it around. So that's kind of the hand tool. You'll notice that if we go over to the actual menu, or to the actual photograph over here, the main docket, we can actually move it within this as well, and it'll move the Navigator over on the left hand side. We're going to worry about all of the preset snapshots, all of this stuff, once we work a little bit more advanced stuff next week when we show all the tools side by side. This week we're going to be, of course, using the basic tab because that's what we did in AC. So right now we're in the basic tab. You can see all of the other ones have been collapsed, so that you can't really see the tools. But if you go down and take the basic tab down, you'll be able to notice that a lot of the tools are exactly the same inside this interface. It's a great interface. And then you've got all of your gray tools up here to be able to do your adjustments with. So we're going to kind of go through the different adjustments that you can go in inside Lightroom. It's a great interface. It's very, very easy to maneuver in, and I really like it a lot, but I like both of them a lot. Both of them have different uses, and I want you to make sure that you're using the one that you like the most for the project that you have to be able to. The first button up here, as you can see, we're going to not really move anything. Nothing's changed from last week inside the basic tab. You've got your white balance, your exposure, your contrast, highlights, etc., all the way down. Those have all remained the same. Same tools, same pretty much interface. So we're not really going to work with these right now. What I want to do is work with the different tools up here on top. The first one is the cropping tool. So if we go into the crop tool, you can see that we can go into different aspects. So we can put an aspect ratio in, just like we did with the ACR application last week. And then here is where you can find the straighten tool. So if you did want to go in and straighten and use that eye like we did last week, you can see here you can go in and use the straighten tool. So it's not a separate tool, it's inside the cropping guide, which is really nice because you don't have to be looking for a separate button to be able to do that. So also inside here you've got your aspect ratios like we've talked about, your angle, strength proportions or not. So if you did want to be able to lock those in, you could do that, which is kind of nice in there as well. So with all of that said, cropping tool is a great cropping tool, and it works pretty much the same in either of the applications. The tool next to it, let's go ahead and click on that tool for now. This is your spot tool. So this is the tool that you're going to be using in taking out spots, whatever. You can see that you have two different types of tools here. You can either use your clone or your healing tool. Either one, which is different from when we were in ACR last week. They only had basically the clone tool. So we didn't have the healing tool, which is kind of terrible. You can still adjust your size here, or you use your up and down bracket keys. Those don't change when you're doing that. So again, when you click on a spot, it's going to give you another spot where you're going to be coming from, and you can see that it's trying to show you what it's going to look like when you did that with a clone that we use there. If you're using the healing brush, it's the same thing. You'll notice that it changes again. The nice thing about this is it gives you a preview of what you're doing. Again, you can take down or up by clicking on the edge, and you'll be able to get into that individual tool. It's a great way to be able to do spot healing or spot clone in either one of those. And again, this is different than the ACR application. So it's a really nice feature inside here. And as you can see, it's really nice to be able to see the different areas that is going in here. You can always add to a new area by just clicking down into a new spot to move. So those are all still available. Anytime you want the old spot, you on the old one. So the spot / healing brush that you have inside here is that second button under the tool menu here. It's a fabulous tool to be able to work with. The last tool over here is that we're going to discuss in video 1 is the red eye reduction tool. Same tool as the last one. It just has a few different things on it. So from here, what you want to do is you want to click on the eye that's having a problem, and it'll go in and make the correction for you. Unfortunately, we don't have an image here that has a red eye reduction need, so we can't show you the highlight here, but it's a cool tool to be able to go in and do this. And again, it's the same tool in ACR, except it's a little bit different. It actually is much more advanced than the ACR application. I consider ACR kind of the more basic of the two interfaces. They're both very, very much the same, but I always think of Lightroom as kind of ACR on steroids. So it's got just a lot more in its interface. It's if you can get by that import and exporting, if you can get by that process, you've got kind of this lick though. So for video 1, this is where I'm going to end it today. Again, I want to remind you that this is Rick Trummer from Rick Trummer Consulting and Training. I hope you tune in tomorrow. We're going to be going over a couple of the other tools that are in this basic tab. And then next week, we're going to be doing head-to-head comparison with all of the other tabs compared to all of the other tabs in ACR. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. Have a great, great week, and thanks for watching.